Despite what a lot of people say in the SEO industry, there is one specific type of link building that every website that is trying to rank in Google should be building, no matter the situation. I am, of course, talking about foundational link building, or in this specific case, entity stacking, a topic that everybody in the SEO community has probably listened to me talk about and has asked me to explain further on. And this video, I'm going to be showing you what it is, how to build these links for free, and what you need to be doing to maintain them and thus maximize their effectiveness. So without any further ado, let's jump into it. The reason you're going to need to build these links is twofold. The first reason is that you won't attract these links. No one's going to organically go out and build your social profiles or citations for you. You are going to need to build them yourself. And secondly, Google needs the links and the information on these links to better understand and to understand your brand in the first place, or better known in SEO circles as your entity. And 99% of websites are going to need to have some form of an entity to be able to rank in the SERPs in the first place these days. In terms of foreign SEO, it's slightly different, but Google in English level SEO is almost a requirement that you're going to need to build a brand and need to build out signals to maximize Google's understanding of your entity. Google already trusts a lot of websites, but it probably doesn't trust your website, right? Especially new websites that have just launched and that don't have any history, don't have any topical authority, or don't have any links to speak of. Google needs to have other websites that it already trusts linked to your website to trust yours. And now those links do not necessarily need to be on paid or premium websites. In fact, the majority of these links are going to be built for free. So especially for new websites, you are going to need to build these links. Yes, you can build trust via content. Yes, you can build topical authority via content, but it'll take a lot longer and a lot more content and a lot more time than if you had just built the foundational level links and built out your entity rather than complaining that link building is illegal. It's safe. It's free. Google, in fact, recommends that you build social profiles for your website, recommends that you build citations for your local business, recommends that you get listed on reference websites, all of these different things, which is exactly what we're moving on to next. So what types of sites should you be building so that Google better understands your entity and can build a consensus of information about your brand? First of all, before I actually get into those specific websites, what you need to be building on these websites is a consensus of information about your entity. That means your NAP, or your name, address, and phone number should all be the exact same, and any biographical information about your business, about who you are behind your business, and about your company in general needs to be of a similar manner across the board, using the same keywords, the same entities across the board on when you are building these links. So the very first site that you should build on, or the very first link that you should be building, is your social profiles. Every business in 2023 and going into 2024 should have their social profiles sorted. They should be on social media, and Google is looking primarily at these websites to see if you are an active and available company. The very first and biggest one, obviously, is being now X or Twitter. Then you have Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, and in my opinion, the biggest one in terms of data-backed information about a company is LinkedIn, and by far the most undervalued one. The amount of affiliates that I've spoken to or done consultations with that have signed up for their Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, but they have not ticked off that LinkedIn box is ginormous. Make sure that you are making not only a LinkedIn profile for yourself, for the person behind the websites. If that's a fake entity, create that fake entity's LinkedIn profile, but also creating the LinkedIn page for the business itself. Next up, we have citations. So you want to be making sure that you have got citations if you have got that NAP in the first place. If you're an online affiliate and you don't have an address, it's becoming more and more difficult to fake a Google My Business profile. So I would go down the line line of not doing that and just focus on the other types of sites that you can build trust from, because there are plenty of them. But in general, if you have got a name, address, and phone number, then you can register and verify for most of these citations. That's going to be Yelp, Foursquare, ZoomInfo, PitchBook, Better Business Bureau, even things like, I think there's the Brown Book in the US, there's the Yellow Pages in the UK, there's all sorts of different websites that you want to be making sure that you're associated with, and there's going to be geo-specific ones, that means that they're going to be ones specific to your country that you're going to be needing to be building on as well. So just making sure that you've got all your citations covered, all the ones that are geo-specific, all the biggest ones in the world, and that all the ones that Google trust are going to be able to make sure that Google is verifying your NAP, or your name, address, and phone number behind the business. Next up, we have reference sites. So this is things like Wikipedia, Reddit, Quora, Crunchbase, SimilarWeb, IMDb. There is a bunch of different types of reference sites that Google trusts, but just making sure that you've got the different types of links that you can build on them. So a Reddit profile versus a Reddit post. You can have both types on there. But of course, if you actually are trying to build links from a Reddit post, I think there's a minimum number of upvotes that you need to have before you can actually get that. And I think that is 10. I'll double check that in the edit. And of course, if you're wanting to be getting things like a knowledge graph, the best way to get knowledge graphs for a company is if you can get a Wikipedia page, and the best way to get knowledge graph for a person is via an IMDb profile. So all you need to do to get an IMDb profile, the easiest way is to be a credit in something. You can actually pay to be a credit in movies and TV shows these days. I think its going rate is about $250 or $300 to be an extra in one of those TV shows or movies, and then you end up becoming an actor because you were an extra in one of those shows, and it's a cool day out and experience anyway. And then suddenly you have an IMDb profile, which then can create a knowledge graph for you in Google, purely based off essentially just one IMDb profile. Next up, we have press releases. A lot of people underrate press releases, and I actually think that's quite a silly thing to do. I think that press releases can feed into all of your other types of sites links as well. As Matt Diggity calls it, a social fortress. Essentially, what you can do is you can build all of those social profiles, and then you can release a press release that links to all of those social profiles from within the press release as well. Then we have Web 2.0s. So a lot of people, again, downplay Web 2.0s and their efficacy. I think the sites like Medium and Substack are massive up-and-coming sites that you definitely want to be building links on, even if they're no-follow these days. And then you have the old-school sites like Blogger, Blogspot, Hub Pages, LiveJournal, even eZine articles and things like that, that some people still actively build links off from to this day. Then we have review sites. So all of the review sites like Trustpilot, TripAdvisor, Reviews.io, Yelp, Reviews.com. There's so many different review sites now that you can get listed with, but of course there's going to be the main kind of top players that I've listed there for you that you are wanting to make sure that you're on as well. I know that Trustpilot is starting to try and charge people $2,000 or $2,500 a year for an annual pro subscription, which is absolutely absurd for the features that they give you. Do not purchase that if they offer it to you. And then finally, we have digital PR. So this is going to be things like company features, company product launches, interviews with executives, all of that kind of stuff that feeds into your entity as well from trusted publications, especially if you can get interviews with things like Forbes magazine or, GQ or Vogue or all of these large publications. If you can get interviews on those sort of sites, then Google trusts and builds information about your entity even more. So how many of these types of links should you be building? Well, Jason Bernard of CaloCube, who is in my opinion one of the leading experts in the world on knowledge graphs and entities in Google, he literally wrote the book on entities for Google. He recommends that you build around 30 off-page entity signals per website or per person, just to make sure that it reinforces that within Google. And I think that is a pretty good figure. However, I also think that it's very relative to your website, your competitors, and your niche. For example, things like Wine Royale are going to need a hell of a lot more than maybe a local construction company or things like that. In general, you're going to be wanting to just build until the point that Google actually recognizes that entity, recognize that you have a knowledge graph, and that when you click the more about this page in the SERPs on those three little dots, it will give you information about your SERP, and it won't tell you that you are missing a description that should be on a reference site. And that's it. Thanks for watching. You can follow me on Twitter or X at Charles_SEO. You can like my Facebook page /TheCharlesFloat. You can add, connect, or follow with me on LinkedIn, which is just my name. You can also get more free and premium training at charlesfloattraining.com. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, because I'm going to be posting a video every single week at the minimum on this channel for the foreseeable future. Peace.